This episode of NSCTV is brought to you by Leonora AAA, Bushrangers Brotherhood, Geelong Firearm Courses, Hunters and Shooters Society of Australia, Auto Scratch, Killside Outdoor Store, Shooters Union of Australia, and the Ballarat Arms and Military Collectors Society. Welcome to another episode of NSCTV, and thank you to our Patreon supporters and sponsors for making this possible. Today we have a quick look at the way things are in the firearms market, whether supply chain's improved or it's getting worse, and what to expect. We speak with John Palermo from Centreway Firearms, so stick around. I've got John Palermo from Centreway Firearms with me. How are you doing, John?
Great, Neil. How are you?
Good, thanks for joining us. So today we're going to be talking about the supply situation as it affects shooters. Last year before, we heard quite a bit about how the supply chain disruptions were affecting the availability of ammo, firearms and the like. So I thought it'd be good just to do a bit of an update on where things are at, so that shooters who are coming out of COVID have pretty much a better idea of what to expect, or perhaps they don't get an idea of what to expect. So John, just to start off with, your business, Centreway Firearms, what kind of products do you sell?
Look, Neil, we do a little bit of everything. We do new and second-hand guns, ammo, reloading components, a little bit of everything. So for those of you that have been to our shop, you know we're a small mum and dad shop in the northwest suburbs of Melbourne. We try and cover a lot of things as best we can.
I read somewhere that your shop started off as a barber shop. Well, it was years ago.
Many years ago, yes. Dad started off as a barber in the premises we're in now, and I can never get this right. It was either the week before or the week after decimal currency came in. So we've been there a little while. Dad's still there. Some customers had Dad cut their hair as a kid, so they've still stayed on all this time. They got their hair cut as a kid. They had their bike fixed by Dad. Now they buy ammo and bits and pieces from it. So yeah, we've been there a while.
So did he have the haircut over there and the guns over there? Did he do both at the same time?
No, I remember it was hairdressing during the day. It was bike repairs after hours. So Dad would shut the door and stay back till all hours of the night fixing bikes. And I remember guns was only a small thing back then. And I remember we had a small rack on the wall, and every now and then Dad would open it up and someone would buy a packet of 22s or some air rifle pellets. Every now and then he'd sell a gun, but it was only done in a small way. And it basically was a sporting goods section. So it had a little bit of everything. Wow. So from that, things progressed. It was actually the changes to the gun laws in 1996 that really set us on the path to be a gun shop only, and we have been since 2000.
It's interesting because you're overseas, and of course you've got much more variation in the types of shops where you can buy guns and ammo. You can buy, as you said, bikes or whatever, and guns, whereas in Australia it's one or the other. There is no halfway point.
Yeah.
You must be a gun shop or trader. Yeah.
Well, look, back then it was the done thing, and Dad wasn't the only one. There was quite a few places that were barbershop and sporting goods, or sporting goods with guns as well. It seems a foreign concept now, but back then it was common.
You can support NSCTV by becoming a subscriber at nsctv.com.au.
Unfortunately, at the moment, we haven't seen really a lot of change as far as supply improving. Unfortunately, it's something we expected we would hit. We're certainly in no better position now than we were 12 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the main pressure points, I think, on the supply chain, I think you were telling me before, coming out of both the US and Europe.
Yeah.
Can you give a bit of an idea, give us a bit of an idea of what's causing that and what it means for shooters who are looking for supplies?
Okay, well, basically at the start, the pandemic caused a lot of production delays worldwide, which was a big enough problem in itself. And then we had the shipping delays that followed. Since then, you could add to that mix the sort of political and social instability in America and the military situation in Europe. Now, they've all combined now to create a problem that I've never seen in all my years involved with the shop. My dad's never seen. We're not alone in the gun trade. Lots of people out there would be affected, whatever industry you're in. I think everybody is affected to some degree from what's been going on over the last 2 years. But for the gun trade, we are unfortunately looking at a situation where we have minimal stock coming in, and the consensus is at the moment that this situation is not going to change at least until well into next year. There are even others indicating that it could go beyond that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the role of contracts, military contracts, I think you were telling me before, that's playing a big part in this. How does that work?
What a lot of people don't realise is that most, not all, but most firearm and ammunition manufacturers worldwide don't only exist to supply the sporting market. Their main business is military and law enforcement contracts. And when you've got so many things going on around the world that are putting great demand by law enforcement and military in various countries, you're going to have this massive backlog of orders for the sporting market. And it's not surprising that if a manufacturer has massive orders to fill, the supply of sporting items for sporting use is going to be put at the bottom of a very long list. And our location, geographically, we're so far from these main centres where these things are made, and we make some things here, but not much. We're really reliant on imports. And we are a really, really small market worldwide. So unfortunately, we're just not that important at the best of times. And under the current circumstances, we just hardly get a look in.
Okay. And suppliers haven't been able to give you any indication of timing?
Early on, say during the first couple of lockdowns, during 2020, it was your average 3, 6, 9 month wait. Since then, the response from a lot of suppliers is simply, we don't know. The advice is put your orders in, and you'll get them at your items at some stage. Just to put it in context, I've got a handful of firearms ordered from one of the European manufacturers that I should have received in August 2020, and they're still not here. Lots of orders that I check online that I put a long time ago, where there was an estimated delivery time frame, that is just now changed to delivery delayed.
Okay.
And we don't even ask the question, we just order the product and you just play the waiting game.
Is that across the board, or does that tend to vary according to product type and also calibre?
Well, the main shortages we're finding at the moment is in ammunition in general, especially for your not so common calibers and your boutique calibers. They're the hardest hit. And reloading components, especially primers. I think everybody out there, I think by now, has realised that by and large primers are nowhere to be found. There are, some online ads with some gratuitous pricing, but primers is the main one. Surprisingly, we have lots of rifle powder. Accessories seem to be coming in sort of decent quantities, like things like die sets, cleaning gear, scopes, scope mounts. Those sorts of things are fine. It's just obviously the things that people ask for every day, the big volume items, they're the ones that are hardest hit.
What calibers can you get now?
Look, there's a lot of rimfire ammo around. There's a lot of 22 ammo. There's a surprising amount of 9mm ammo as well. But things like 308, 223, getting a bit scarce. And inevitably the pricing has gone up because of the increased cost for freight worldwide. So that we've started to see a little bit of an increase as well. Surprisingly, it's not to the same extent that freight has gone up. So we had a roughly fivefold increase in the cost of freight, but that hasn't translated to a fivefold increase on the product. But I think a lot of suppliers are very conscious of not to be too heavy-handed with pricing. There was a supply that did indicate that in the States there was a bit of price gouging that backfired.
In terms of second-hand firearms, what's selling and what isn't selling and why?
Well, I guess, it's the old story, for the right price everything sells. From what I can see, there's a very, very big second-hand market. And obviously, depending on the item, it might be something of interest, it might not be. I'm noticing now there's a lot of people who what I would sort of categorise as inactive gun owners, so the people that have had a gun for 30 years and it's been 28 years since they've last used it. All these sorts of guys have, their licence renewals are coming in and they're saying, oh well, I haven't used the gun, I'm going to get rid of it. So there's a lot of very cheap and basic guns being sold. There's also a lot of high-end guns being sold, so it's a bit of a variety out there. The biggest thing now is people will look at a gun and say, okay, that's a nice gun, but can I get ammo for it? And that could be the limiting factor, whether that gun sells or not, or what the price as well. But things like military collectibles, yeah, they're certainly holding their value and going up in value. Whereas a very basic 22 or a basic shotgun, people probably have the mindset, if I'm going to go all through this red tape to have a license, I want something a little bit nicer.
Okay, so it sounds like it's a bit of a buyer's market at the moment with second-hand guns. At
the moment, yes. Yeah, definitely. Okay. There's definitely an overage. I know there's a lot of handguns being sold, a lot of handguns advertised. I guess pistol shooters, handgun shooters, they're in a difficult situation because, as you know, listeners out there might not know, owning a handgun, you have to attend your club a certain number of times a year. If you can't make your ammunition or find it on the shelf, you're in a bit of a difficult position. Now, we had handgun attendances in Victoria wiped for 2 years in a row, so 2020 and 2021, but I don't think handgun owners are going to get a reprieve because there's a shortage of ammunition on the market. So I know quite a few pistol shooters that are really considering their position, their sport, whether they opt out for a while. These are issues we've never had before. Yeah. So it's a little bit concerning.
And it sounds like it's one area where our registries could help, given the fact that even they couldn't have anticipated this was going to happen.
In the context of you can't use your gun because you can't find ammo, I don't know that they're going to really come to our aid in that regard now.
Do you run a business that supports the shooting industry? Take out a gold, silver or bronze sponsorship with the NSC to get your logo on our videos.
I think at the moment, people think that the industry is dragging its heels, and it's not the case. There's a lot of people working very hard to try and get product in. Retail is a tough game now, whatever industry you're in. I think, shooters can sort of help themselves at the moment by, I guess, being a little bit frugal with what you have. We all enjoy our shooting, but you need to have a look and say, okay, what have I got? What can I get? And how can I make my supplies last for the next 2 years? If you've got something on order with your dealer, be patient. The dealer's doing their best to try and get stock in for you. A lot of it is out of their control. Once orders go in, it's a matter of waiting. And it's not a case of the dealer being lazy or knocking back a sale.
Yeah.
And I guess we need to look at this long term. We've got a sport and we've got an industry that at the moment is going through some tough times. So, what I would suggest to shooters out there is, spread the love a little bit. Look after your local. I know everyone likes to jump online and find a bargain, but your local dealer is the one that you need to make sure stays there. Because if they're gone and you have to rely on online for everything, that's going to bring with it a lot of problems that might not be evident right now.
Yeah, and as you said, there were still some lines that are available, cleaning gear.
There's lots of stuff. And what I would suggest to people is we all want to go and have a bit of retail therapy in the gun trade. So the best thing you can do is go to your local dealer and buy something they have on the shelf, even if it's a couple of packets of ammo or some cleaning stuff. If there's a gun show coming up near you, go along, keep the industry going. Okay, sure, we're all waiting for things that might be available again one day, but we don't want our industry and our sport to starve in the meantime.
Yeah. Thank you, John. I really appreciate your time. So thank you for helping us today.
Thanks, Neil.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of NSCTV, and don't forget to share with your friends and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you later.